I'm Jess. I am a teaching artist in fibers and textiles, and I live in Asheville, North Carolina. And I hardly ever make videos anymore on this channel. This is Happy Go Crafty. This was my main business and teaching handle before handle was a word that we used that way. Starting way back in 2013. I was branching out on my own as an independent crafts teacher for the first time when I was living in Brooklyn in 2011. And at that time I had already been a crafts teacher in Montessori schools, in high school, and just like privately all over the place. So I was like, let me just go ahead and declare this a business, and happygocrafty.com was born, and I started my Happy Go Crafty YouTube page, and that was all over a decade ago. So since then, I don't really post on this channel very often because it was sort of just a holding place for past stuff while I started my business now, which is Wax On Batik and Dye Studio. So I do a lot of dyeing, a lot of sewing, and that's basically what that channel is for, is my textiles work. But as a fiber artist first, I maintained Happy Go Crafty as kind of like a landing spot for all my knitting. I've got knitwear designs that are, God, so old, that desperately need a reboot on Ravelry. I'll talk about that later. But for now, I remember last year at the end of 2023 being like, I really want to do a year in knits wrapped, like all the things that I knit this year. And I didn't do it. And here we are a year later. And so I can feel myself on the verge of being like, I'm not going to do it again this year. And then I know before I know it, 12 months are going to go by and it's going to be almost 2025. And I'm going to, no, it is almost 2025. It'll be almost 2026. And I'll wish I had done this right here. So I'm doing this right here. So I'm going to go over everything I knit in 2024, getting my years right, mention a few knits from 2023, and then talk about what I want to knit in 2025. I can't believe these numbers are real. So first of all, what am I wearing? I call this my Saff competition sweater. I wrote the pattern, but I didn't write the pattern. I designed it for myself as I was knitting it, but I did not write the pattern down. So this is just a stranded top-down seamless pullover that I knit entirely out of Green Mountain Spinnery's Alpaca Elegance. It is such a nice fabric, and I know this video is not really to get into 2023 knits, but I will say that it's one of my favorite things that I've ever made for myself. I had really high hopes of winning the competition, in the garment competition, and I did not. I did not get first place. I did not get second or third place. I got runner up, and I am still shocked. I love my sweater so much. I know I'm hiding it behind overalls right now, but it's very cold, and there's plenty of pictures of it on my Ravelry page. So that's what I'm wearing right now. And from the leftovers and from some of my favorite charts, and by the way, these are all different charts that I took from the Alice Starmore book of Fair Isle motifs. I made my first for sale knitting pattern in a decade. Yeah, I was early to that game, and then I slept on it for a decade, as you do when you've got other crafts to do. But I published the Cedar Bark Headband, and I'm really proud of it. And the reason I named it the Cedar Bark Headband is because I am obsessed with weaving baskets out of cedar. Here's a little example of Alaskan red cedar. This is a weird accidental construction it's like one of my first ones that I ever made. It's got this kind of spiraling thing, and it holds my glasses lens wipes right now, but I love it so much. And I was working on publishing the headband pattern while I was in a cedar bark weaving workshop, so I named it the Cedar Bark Headband, and I love it. It is a triple thick because it's stranded on the outside and knit with a seamless liner on the inside. So it's 3 layers thick. Perhaps I should be wearing mine. Hold on. Okay, it's not a very high contrast one that I knit, but I love it so much. And there's the seamless liner. So the construction is, you do a provisional cast on in the center here of the lining, and then you knit up, you do a picot turned edge, you knit the color work chart, you do another picot turned edge, and then you knit back to where you started, and you Kitchener, you graft your final live round with the provisional cast on, and it's totally seamless and it feels so good. So this is something that I wear a lot, especially on cold days, because my hair is usually up on the back of my head. I'm a big bun on top person, and this keeps my ears triple thick warm and without me needing to like put my hair down, which I don't like. So anyway, cedar bark, headband pattern, DK scraps is all you need, or knit it in sport weight for a smaller version. And my competition, my non-written competition sweater. So that was 2023. I mean, I knit a lot more things in 2023, but those are the only things we're going to mention because it's time to talk about 2024. So in late December 2023, right? So we'll call it January 1st, 2024. I cast on 4, let's see if this even fits in the frame. This is the checks and notes. This is the Lunay Shaw by Natasha Hornby, Moonstruck Knits. This is my Lunay. It's so big and I love it so much. I'm on a major mosaic knitting kick right now. Even though I love knitting stranded color work, there's nothing better than like one color in each hand. It feels so good to my psyche and my physical being. But mosaic stitch, God, I love it so much. So there's a couple things that made me fall in love with this. First, I saw someone using really similar colors in one of the test knits, and I was like, well, that's my colorway. Second of all, I already had all this yarn in my stash. Well, I had almost all the white in my stash. I did run out of white and need to order another skein, and that was part of what took so long. So this shawl was 11 months. Oh my God, from cast on to bind off, blocking, and attaching tassels, 11 months. But of course I didn't knit it monogamously. I had lots of other projects on the go. I will say the tassels were a great thing to work on while I waited months for my second skein of white to show up, but it was all worth it. And I just love the tassels. I love the pattern. I love the drape of it. I love the squish of it. It's so nice. So I used some ancient sock yarn deep in my stash. Let's see, what did I use? Lorna's Laces. I think that's the gold color that you see there. I used Lorna's Laces from, I've had to have had that in my stash since like 2009. I'm not even kidding, 2010, because that's when I worked at the Knitting Sisters in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I know that I stashed that at that time. And then I also use this brown is Miss Babs Yummy 2-ply, and that I bought, that was supposed to be a different sweater years ago, and I started the sweater and I didn't like it and I frogged it, and then I still have so much more of this like toffee color of Miss Babs. And then the white is a sport weight, and since I already kind of complained about how long it took for the vendor to send me it, I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't want to trash talk this person. It happens to all of us, but yeah, a lot of that was me just being like, did I get ghosted? Is this person ever sending me this yarn? So 11 months, not straight. Love it so much. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So that took me through the year of 2024 from start to finish pretty much. And in the meantime, okay, so going in order, and what I'm doing down here is I'm scrolling on my own Ravelry projects page to be like, what did I knit in 2023? Okay, so then because I was on my mosaic knit kick, I knit the tincture. This is an Andrea Mowry pattern, and it is mosaic, and I have to brag on myself. This is a white, this is the Nubby Silk from Echo View Fiber Mill, which doesn't exist anymore. It used to be this amazing fiber mill here, like right outside of Asheville, and it went under, and it's very sad. But I dyed the purpley blue. I took a class with Margaret Radcliffe, a buddy of mine, and an amazing color knitter and dyer, and she taught me how to dye yarn in this subtly shifting. I was like, I do not want variegated. I don't want lots of pops of color. I want like a semi-solid. So I dyed that purpley blue, and I love it so much. So this is silk. It feels really, really, really good. I like this hat so much. It is just slouchy enough, and it's mosaic, so it made me really happy, and it's warm. Like, I don't know why I keep knitting hats, because I don't really wear hats that much. I really like ear warmers. So I think if I did this again, I would do just like a 4.5 inch tall ear warmer version. So I knit that. And then there's a project lost to, oh, what shall we say? The foolish naivete and optimism of dating. I was seeing someone for a hot second. He really liked a skein of yarn that I had dyed, so I knit him a hat with that yarn. The whole dating situation lasted 6 weeks tops, and I really never want to see this person again. But he's got a fabulous hat made out of this gorgeous yarn that I dyed that was like a silk wool blend. I really liked the color. He really liked the color. Turns out that was one of his best traits, taste in color. So he's got a hat, or maybe he burned it. You win some, you lose some. Okay, so that hat is gone. Then there's like this big gap, and I think probably because, so that was February. I was probably knitting along on this one, but my next project does not show up until August. So this, okay, so I was teaching a week-long knitting class this summer at Warren Wilson College, and one of my students was very inspired by a shawl she saw on television that wrapped from the back and around and crisscrossed across her body and tied in the back. And it's probably Outlander, I think. But so we were looking around on Ravelry for free shawl patterns that she could knit within her skill set that matched the yarn that she had. And I found Stephen West's Boneyard Shawl. So as I was teaching her how to cast on and knit her shawl, which was in gray, it was like a DK, I was like, I want to knit this. This feels like so much fun. So I have to say, Stephen West's Boneyard Shawl is so awesome. It has that little like tab start. So you start up there that way, where you knit like a garter rectangle that way. And then it expands in the middle and at the edges all the way. And so it's just stockinette. And then every so often, I didn't even count rows. I just like eyeballed it. Every so often you do one little garter ridge by knitting on the back instead of purling. Pardon me, it's very dry. It's very cold and very dry. But what I want to say is I dyed these, I think it was 5 different colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe it was 4. It's really hard for me to tell in this light, but I dyed these as individual skeins. And then I knit the Boneyard Shawl while I was traveling in Ireland and England. A big part of my making life now is in basketry. So because I've commodified almost all of my hobbies, I turned knitting and knitwear design and teaching knitting into a business 12, 13 years ago. And then I turned dyeing and teaching dyeing methods into another business. I need some crafts that are just for me, that are like non-commodified, and weaving willow baskets, this is my second one that I made while I was in Ireland, has become like my love affair. So this is, that looked really funny. It's sort of like bowing out, but this is a harvest basket. It fits right on my hip, and it's a big part of why I didn't knit much this summer. So I did knit this shawl while I was in Ireland and England, because God knows after you've been pushing sticks around all day, you need something else to do with your hands. So I knit a lot while I was on that trip, and this is the shawl that I finished. I love it. So this is one that's been keeping me warm a lot these days. I really like tying it like a kerchief. And I love the fade that we've got going from like the mustard into the toffee into this russet kind of color. And it's been keeping me really warm. It's funny, I was eating soup for lunch today, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to drip there, but I was still cold. So I took it off of wearing it my front kerchief way, and I just draped it over my shoulders, and I was like, I'm still warm. That's a very different look. It's kind of nice. I love shawls. So yeah, Boneyard Shaw, so fun, 10 out of 10, would knit it again. Okay, then I fell in love with a pattern, a really simple pattern. You barely need a pattern for it, but because sometimes it's nice to have the numbers, called the Cozy Classic Raglin. 2 years ago, when a lot of knitting friends at the folk school and who live in Brasstown were knitting it all together. So it was like 2022. Let me scroll through my Ravelry really quick. Cozy Classic Raglin knit along. Yes, that was December 2022. So we all knit a Cozy Classic Raglin, and I made mine out of Green Mountain Spinnery Music. It's like M-E-W-E, like a U, music. And I wore it every day. It became like my every single day pullover, because I just love the yarn so much. And so I got to wear it last August. In 2023 in August, I was on a trip up to Vermont for another Willow Basket class, actually to make this basket here, this rib basket, which is full of knits, finished and unfinished. So I was on my way to Vermont to make this, and I stopped at the Green Mountain Spinnery, and I was wearing my green sweater, and I was working on this sweater. And they were so kind to me. I really love them. And they were like, why don't you pick out more yarn for another music pullover, and you can have the employee discount. And I was like, oh God, twist my arm. So this is like my current absolute favorite color, halfway between green and gold. This is another music pullover, and it's a Cozy Classic Raglin. And look, it's got wrinkles on it from being folded up in my suitcase because I took it home for Christmas. But it is just, this makes the nicest fabric. Like, I can't feel it without snuggling it. The stitch definition is gorgeous. It's like soft without being, like, it's not gonna start pilling right away, and it's rustic without being like crunchy. It's just got the nicest hand and feel to it. So my first music Cozy Classic Raglin is really oversized. I will say the numbers for the Cozy Classic Raglin, like, that is an oversized sweater. Excuse me. So I was sort of like, this is cozy. Like, it's kind of frumpy, it's kind of oversized. Everyone's wearing them really baggy these days. And so I set out to knit this one as a undersized, like a slim fitting sweater. And as I knit it, my body gained weight. Like, this was just a year of like a lot of lush eating. I had a lot of treats this year. And yeah, I got plumper this year. And so my sweater is like va-va-voom. It is very tight, but I still have been enjoying wearing it. And I know that as my body fluctuates, it will fit differently over time, hopefully a little bit looser. but it's still great. And so because it's top down, as I was knitting it, I was like, I'm in my mid 40s now, and when my body gains weight, it happens more in my middle than ever before. And so I did this cool thing where this is the side seam. It's a faux seam, but can you see how I did a little like increasing on either side here to increase the tummy area? I'll throw up a picture of what that looks like on my side. But it's really nice. It gives me just a little more breathing room around the tummy without me needing to like crop the sweater. So it was just after I finished that one that I cast on for yet another cozy classic raglan. This makes 3 cozy classic raglans for me so far, and I'll do it again. But what's special about this one is that I held it double. So this is my first time using Spindrift dyed in the wool, which is a gradual color changing yarn. And I held it double with a bunch of old remnant balls of like Shetland 2-ply and Jameson and Smith, a bunch of figuring weight 2-ply rustic yarns. And this one is a true like medium fit on me. So my first cozy classic raglan, it fits like an extra large. This one fits like a medium, and this one is perfect. So it's funny, it's not really my colors. Like I don't really wear a lot of pinks or peaches or baby blues, but I do so appreciate how it fades down. So I was a psycho and I split my Spindrift in half so that the sleeves would get closer to matching, which, you know, they don't, but it's okay. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I have not even taken FO pictures of me wearing this yet. It'll happen. As you guys probably know, it's been an extremely, we've had to pivot a lot this year in Western North Carolina. This was the year that I finally inherited a really special piece of property that I've been dreaming about and hoping to get for ages and ages and ages. And it just so happens at the exact same season that it becomes legally mine is the season that Hurricane Helene practically destroyed it. I mean, there's no road access. I mean, there's no vehicle access. The road side crumbled into the river below, and there's a huge landslide on my property. And I have been dealing with that and have to continue dealing with that. And it's just like one of the most stressful things I've ever lived through. And we are only just at the beginning. So that really took a lot of my fall creative energy. So after this was finished, and I was finishing this up at the same time, I only really knit one more thing. And I will say one of the bright sides of this year, even though this year was so disastrous and so heartbreaking in so many ways, is that I, for the first time ever, started dating someone that I had already dated before. So there is someone special in my life from last year. We didn't really, we did not finish out the year together last year, but we have made our way back to each other, and we're going just real slow, just slow dating, get to know each other anew as a new year. And I knit him a brioche hat, and it came out so great. So that was a Christmas present. It was just gifted like 3 days ago, because I'm recording this on December 27th. So yeah, I just gifted him that brioche hat, and it is the Katarina Hat by Lee on Instagram. They are Lee Does Stuff, but on Ravelry it's a free hat called the Katarina Hat, and it's just a really simple brioche toque. It's a beanie. And I loved it so much that I have cast on another one already. So we'll see if I finish that other one. Maybe I should go get it. Okay, so yeah, the hat that I gifted to my sweetheart is not here, it's with him. But here's the second one that I'm starting, and It is low contrast. That's kind of like my theme right now, not intentionally, but I keep picking out these two color projects that are super low contrast. So this, starting a second one, was inspired by not just how much fun two color brioche is, but also this yarn. This yarn is spun and dyed by Martha Owen, and this is also from her sheep, and it is just like, it's incredibly bouncy, and the profile of it is a super round 2-ply, and I'm pairing it with some hand spun from a local friend here, Tina from Fairy Maid. So I've got two different local ladies yarns here that I'm knitting into a brioche hat. Brioche hat of December #2. Okay, last but not least, I saw this design on Instagram, and I had never, it was like on the Discover page, I'd never heard of this designer before, but this pattern is called The Eclipse of Moths, and it is by Clara Cecilia. And let's see, I put it on smaller needles last night so I could really zip through the stockinette because I'm done with my stranded yoke. But oh my goodness, look at those Luna moths. I love it. And I'm knitting this in silky wool, the Elsbeth Lavold OG silky wool. It was like my desert island yarn for so long, and I have a ton of it in my stash. But yeah, isn't that nice? So I've looked around on YouTube for other people who have knit the Eclipse of Moths, but it's such a new pattern that I might be the only one talking about it so far. I will say, while I love the look of the chart, there are really long floats. Like sometimes you go 17 stitches of one color. I just don't love that. Maybe because I'm trained more as like a classical Fair Isle knitter, where I really try to follow that rule of like no more than 1 inch of one color. And I don't know why I don't love catching floats, because it's a really easy move to do, but it just kind of annoys me when there's like such long gaps between colors. Whatever, I should get over it. I love the way it looks. I cannot wait for this to be done. And like silky wool is kind of a weird choice to do a stranded sweater in, even though it's double thick. Oh look, I love that. Even though it's double thick, it is still gonna be like a pretty lightweight, like I feel like this will be a 3-season shirt. Yeah, it's gonna be more like a blouse, I think. But we'll see. So that is my 2024 year in knits wrapped. So I'm going in to 2025, say it with me now, with the Eclipse of Moths on my needles. By the way, when I used to work at a yarn store in the year 2007 and 2008, this was my favorite knitting bag, and I've had it since then, and it used to have a tag on it, and now I don't even know who makes this bag, but I freaking love this bag. It's got really strong magnets. It's got a million pockets inside, both zipped and non-zipped. There's space for all your notions, and I'm not even trying to advertise this to y'all because I don't know who makes it. It's probably not findable anymore. The tag is gone. But in case you were like, what is that knitting bag? A really cool one from 2007. If you recognize this maker or this brand, will you please put it in the comments, because it has been a decade since I've seen a tag on this sucker, and it's so well made. It's got like extra canvas in the bottom. Oh, and my favorite thing to do is that you can wear it like a backpack. The straps are exactly the right length for wearing it like a backpack. And I've worn it like that all over the world, honestly. It's one of my favorite travel bags. Okay, we're at 30 minutes. I want to wrap it up, and the sirens are starting. But I want to talk about what I'm excited to knit in 2025. Obviously, I'm going to finish this little brioche hat. That's just like a weekend TV project. But the two sweaters that I'm the most excited to cast on are Andrea Gaughan's Willow sweater, not just because she named it after Basket Willow, which is so cool, but because I'm trying to challenge myself, you guys. You know, as a older millennial knitter who was a Ravelry beta tester in 2007, and like I just feel like I'm starting to feel more like an old dog who needs new tricks, like more and more and more and more. Like I'm great at my tricks that I already have, but this whole concept of knitting a sweater flat and sewing it together is like so foreign to me. I am a seamless top-down girly, and I do not understand why like the young people are so keen to knit flat and seam their shit up with dropped shoulder construction and like baggy profiles. I clearly am old, right? Because I'm just like rah, 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 about what's new and cool. And so I need to get over that. I've got two different sweaters that I want to cast on right now, that are pretty much both like they're both drop shoulder. So I'm really late to the party, but I'm gonna knit Framed by Andrea Mallory. Drea Renee Knits. Yeah, Andrea Mallory. And then the Willow Pullover by Andrea Gaughan. So just two Andreas in my queue right now. And what's cool about Andrea Gaughan, besides the fact that she's Nora Gaughan's kid, and I really came up in like online knitting, early days of online knitting and knit blogs when like Nora Gaughan was one of the biggest names, is that Andrea moved to Asheville and she lives in Asheville now. And I've heard so does Nora, so that's really cool. We live in the same city, and I find that really exciting, and I find the Willow Pullover really exciting. I love the basket weave look, and I'm intimidated AF about knitting flat and seaming things together. Like, I know I can do it. I know how to block. I know how to block to size. I have everything I need. I just haven't made myself do it in so long. So Framed and the Willow Pullover, those are my first up. Of course, my queue is long, and there will be lots of other little spontaneous things. And with any luck, if things go well for me in my romantic life, perhaps I will knit that person a sweater. I'm like really itching to knit a partner a sweater. It's been a decade since I've done that. So, okay, that is my knitting year wrapped. Of course, there was lots of sewing makes. There were lots of baskets. I did a fair amount of reviving my lino printing. And what else? Just, yeah, for my business, obviously a ton of fabric dyeing, teaching batik. If you want to know more about that, you can hop over to Wax On Studio, my other YouTube channel, but this is about knitting. So thanks so much for watching, and I will try to do another one of these before the end of the year 2025. All right, stay warm, and may all the moths stay away from you.